are you today? So, today basically I want to be talking about Raven Sutton. And previously, I talked about her in one of my live streams this month, and I can't remember which one. But I was trying to think of her name, and I called her Raven Simone because I'm just like I was blanking on her last name, and I was like, wait a minute, no, that's not right. It's Raven Sutton. Um, and so Raven Sutton is known for being on season 5 of The Circle on Netflix, which is a little like it's like a reality show based on engaging with each other on a social platform that they set up for the reality show. And there are some people whose job is to be a catfish in the reality show. And you basically interact with people and have to determine whether or not you're getting catfished or if this is a genuine connection. It's way more interesting than I thought it would be. But it was an interesting. I can't speak. It was an interesting watch, for sure. So today I want to talk about her. She's known for that, so of course we're gonna mention it and talk about it a little bit. It's in a couple of videos we're gonna watch about her and some articles we'll check out. But I also want to talk about and highlight her role in music. And linked in the description of this video, I do have a playlist about deaf in music, and I have my playlist on Definitely Dope. And in Definitely Dope for the Deaf in Music 2 playlist that we did, that one I really do focus on how sign language can be a visual representation of music and can be music in the same way that music theory is, in terms of it can be an interpretation of a visual representation of sound in space and time. And because it's an arrangement of sound in space and time, I believe it itself qualifies as language. And if you um, look at my Deaf in Music playlist, I discuss more about my experience in music and how I process sound myself. And you can check out more information there. Um, so yeah, what I'm about to do now though is just roll my intro, and then we're gonna check out some material about Raven. So yeah, thanks for being here. Hi, my name is Lexi, aka Deaf Child. I'm born deaf, hard of hearing. My team was one of the top teams between 2020 and 2024 in New Orleans and Louisiana. I began doing business as Deaf Child in 2013, marketing 2011, and sales 2009. I've earned 50 plus certifications in marketing and sales, and I have my Bachelor of Science from Loyola University, New Orleans, with a music industry studies major and a business administration minor. Visit my site at noladeafchild.com. Okay, so I have all of the links in the description of the video. So Raven Sutton, her handle is BlueJ19XX on Instagram, and I think it's the same on TikTok as well. Um, if you look up Raven Sutton or Blue Jay, you should be able to find her. And she identifies as a deaf performer and music interpreter. Um, and so yeah, this dude right here, we're about to watch a video with. We're gonna watch this video in a second. This dude right there is My Intentions Did It, and I talked about him in terms of being a good example of he shows his journey in deaf world, but he doesn't make speaking over or for deaf people his focus. He just shows what his life is like. You know what I mean? In my opinion. But then he will speak his stance on his opinions, but he's not sitting there where I was saying how like I don't like it when hearing people use the fact that they have proximity to deaf world to then build their platform off of deafness in a way as if they can represent us. That I don't like. But if you're just sharing your life and you happen to be that immersed in deaf community, then that's a beautiful thing, right? So there is a difference, and I think you can check out his profile to see, for me, where a positive example should be. So, but this is Deaf Awareness Month, so we're focusing on deaf representation and deaf people. So I definitely want you to go check out Raven Sutton. So she's been viral. So she got real big, even bigger. Like I think her following possibly blew up twice as much once she went on The Circle on Netflix. But she was also pretty big in deaf community before then because she's been making videos spreading deaf awareness. And I also think that her having the following that she was building on her own before she went on The Circle is part of why they let her in, because that would be bringing them views. It would be a smart thing to do. On top of the fact she is the first, not only the first deaf person, but of course also the first black deaf person, and the first deaf person period, I believe, on this reality show. And there's not much deaf representation in reality in any media, but that means reality shows too, right? And so I think that's also just kind of like a big thing because it normalizes seeing us where we wouldn't typically be able to see ourselves. Um, and so she's been going live for a long time. I mean, I said I was looking at the word live, I think, right here. She's been doing well, making content, and getting a lot of following for a long time, spreading deaf awareness. Her content is going to be a mix of jokes, deaf awareness, as well as a lot of music. She does a lot of music interpretation and music performances in sign language. Um, and so I highly recommend giving her a follow because she's also just very gorgeous. I believe she basically is a model as well. And so, what you're going to see from her, in my opinion, is just a lot of positive representation. Like right now, she's educating people on why, and I wish I mentioned this in my predictions video because I didn't even think about it then, because that is a thing that I have thought about before, but I didn't think about it while I was rambling in that video. Um, when the people there's already an issue where people try to sell over-the-counter hearing aids as if they're going to help, but they really don't. And then when you have the AirPods, like it's just going to limit accessibility, in my opinion. But so she has a video on that as well. So she does do like deaf awareness, and then you just get like that mix where so here she's promoting Lingvano is an ASL app. So here she's encouraging people to learn sign language. She's educating on how deaf people interpret information and what's accessible for us. And then in these two videos right here, it looks like she's interpreting music and performing music. And so you're going to get a variety of material from her. And I really like that about her too, because you're not just going to sit there and just be like, okay, well, because that's like where I was saying, like, okay, when the deaf comedians that I showed you, like, I love the deaf comedians that I singled out in those platforms. But sometimes, when you do see people who they're only putting out humor, sometimes it's just like, okay, well, where is the rest of it? What about the social issues and the human rights issues, right? Well, they do in a way, I feel, and put that into their content along with their collaborations and with their other posts, and so you will see that. But in terms of their content, their main content production, like what they're known for, what you're going to primarily see, with Raven, I feel like you get more of a variety, but she does show a lot of her experience in the music world, and that's why I felt like it's super important to highlight her as a deaf person in music, particularly with how hard it is to get access. And a lot of the deaf people in music love that deaf men are doing their thing, but I see more deaf men get recognition than deaf women as people in the industry. And so for Raven to be a deaf woman also, to see that means a lot to me, in my opinion, you know? So yeah. So let's check out a couple of videos real quick, and then I'll show you just her YouTube and TikTok, and then I've got some articles that I pulled up as well that I think they're primarily focused on her being on the circle. This is weird. Let's just try reloading. All right. It's not playing. I might try reloading this thing again. I made sure the volume was on. I think it's freezing up on me. Well, that's unfortunate. Well, it looks like it's just this one page. You know what? Let's just refloat it. Fuck it. At least it's not my whole computer. Well, this is unfortunate. I wanted to watch this, but it's all freezing up. Technical difficulties. No, wait, I don't want to exit. Let's just... I don't know. Oh, now it's all freezing. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, here it is. All right, let's just wait.
Can do everything except here.
So the beginning was cut off. It says deaf people can do everything except here. You know, fucking, I don't even like this. You know what? I don't even know. I have mixed feelings about this concept, but I'm gonna have to process it on another time because I haven't processed it enough right now to articulate why this is. I just don't like that. You know, I feel like it's important to speak on from a deaf perspective, but I don't like the way it's being used in advertising. But you know what? That's different. That's different. Hold on.
When people say deaf people can't dance, I say to them, watch me.
Oh, it's Paris interpreting um for fucking so Paris is the interpreter here. Wait, was My Intentions did it or was Paris the interpreter on this other video? Oh no, it was My Intentions did it. Okay, I was about to say, did I say it was the wrong video? I think it was My Intentions did it. My Intentions did it. It's not loading. Okay, yeah, I think that, yes. All right. Whew. I was like, wait a minute, did I remember the wrong person? No, okay. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes though, it all blurs together. It's not that I'm not trying to, you know, making sure I'm the right credit where it's due. Okay, so Paris was the interpreter on the circle. My Intentions did it was the interpreter on this other video we're gonna watch. Just making sure we're clear, because I had mentioned them both today. All right. Okay, so Paris is interpreting for Raven. So I had said that comment about how I don't know how I feel about that statement being used in advertising because of a deaf perspective or whatever. That was before I realized, like, I didn't realize Paris was doing the voiceover for Raven's perspective. So I'm not going to be commenting or critiquing what Raven wants to say on the deaf perspective, right? Like, that's for Raven to speak on. I didn't realize that was Paris speaking for Raven. I'm over here just thinking about, like, it's just a circle Netflix being, you know what I mean? So that's my bad. But we're here now. So this was the little ad promo that they did to introduce Raven coming on. I think it's a cute ad, it's a really good ad because it does make you want to watch more. And I do think that for people who have no deaf awareness, maybe this is the message they need to see in terms of we are just like anybody else. We're normal fucking human beings. All right. I think this next thing is going to be, oh, you know what? I actually pulled this up. Okay, so this is Paris. I did not link this profile, but let me go ahead and do that right now. I'm gonna just link the interpreters too. I'm gonna link them under the rest of the other deaf related links though. So Paris, he's an interpreter. We'll link him. Should definitely follow him. And then let me just go ahead and put my intentions did it up in there too. Why the fuck not? So they interpreted for Raven. So that's why they're gonna get up in here for now. Because you know what? I feel like those are some good examples of they show their lives and they will talk about their lives as interpreters, but exploiting deafness isn't what they do, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Um, so, and so that was Paris, and Paris was her interpreter on the circle. Now we're gonna watch this other video, where Raven is the performer. And what Raven has is my intentions did it, feeding her the information. So she already knows the music, but to make sure that she's on beat and on time, she has the hearing person feeding her the lyrics so she can then perform it. And what happens is this way you get the accuracy of the timing and you get that person keeping you where you should be going, but you have the deaf perspective and you have the cultural connection. You get way better experience because someone who is a deaf person is going to be able to communicate better in sign language due to having the understanding of what we need to know to process the information in a way that hearing people aren't aware of, because you don't experience it. And it's like you can theorize something all you want, but if you don't know what it's like to live through it, it's not the same. And I just don't really know how to articulate. I haven't processed properly how to articulate why it's so important for Raven to be doing what Raven's doing. And that's why, because we do that her role to do so does rely on the feeders, is why I also, here's my thing. She needs the feeders only because of the hearing society. You know what I'm saying? If you put it into context of deaf culture, then it's still a tool, but it's not a necessary accommodation because you're already being accommodated through the accessibility and the connection of the deaf culture. Right? So, and by that I mean, so like if you go to a deaf performer who's singing and signing same time, like if she's, or if you're in a deaf space, there's more people signing and singing at the same time, having the feeder there will still be a tool because you're going to have the person whose job it is to make sure you can see them, but you could still do it without them because you'll be able to look at the other musician signing if you needed to, right? Versus in the hearing world, there's no one else giving her access. So that's why the interpreter's there, right? That's what I'm saying. It's about accessibility, and representation. So the description here is Blue Jay 19 or Raven says, I get asked a lot about how I can interpret music as a deaf performer. There are many things that go into it, but this video is a perfect example of what we call feeding. In the video, you see me on stage and then you can see Rodney in the big screen. Rodney is standing in front of me signing the same song in English, and I am using my own interpretation in ASL. This helps me whenever the artist DJ starts talking or to stay on track if I need to. Let me know if you have more questions. And then Rodney is my intentions did it. And he says, work wife, I gotta bring you a ring next time so they know it's real. That's kind of funny. And you got all the people complimenting, love behind the scenes, all that. So let's check out this video real quick. Alright, so it's got music, so I'm gonna mute it because I just don't want to get copyright strike. So let's just watch her signing. So you can see here she's doing a gorgeous job. You can see we have our interpreter here keeping her on the beat, keeping her on flow with the lyrics. And then here we have what she's doing is dancing. She's incorporating his signs into dance and then taking that and showing deaf people with the signs where visually the sound is, because frequencies, it's high, there's high and low to the frequencies, and sounds, like if it's a higher frequency, it's going to have a smaller sound, and a lower bigger frequency will have a deeper bigger sound. And so in ways that she expresses her signs, she also expresses the degree to which certain melodies and rhythms and flows are happening. There's way more that goes into, yes, she is dancing, but she's not just dancing. She's so good at interpreting sign language, she makes it look like a dance. You know what I'm saying? And that's the difference. There is a very big difference between somebody who happens to be dancing and signing at the same time versus someone whose sign language is the dance. And I don't know how to better explain this to you versus, but at this time, because I need to process it more. But I feel like deaf people know what the fuck I mean. All right. So, and his profile also linked in the description of the video. Raven is also on YouTube, so you want to give her a shout out. On her YouTube, the bio says making mainstream music accessible to the deaf hard of hearing community. Um, and so she's got different music ASL interpretations on here. And I highly recommend following her, subscribing, checking out her shit. It's really fucking good. Alrighty. She's also on TikTok. And it looks like it is the same handle on TikTok as it is Instagram. And it was season 5 that she was on The Circle, if you do want to go check that out. If you haven't watched it yet, I think it's still on Netflix, if I'm not wrong. Or maybe you can find some clips on uh fucking YouTube. Shit, I'm blanking. I'm on YouTube right now, and I'm like literally can't think of the word for YouTube, and I'm live streaming on the goddamn platform. What the fuck? Anyway, but so it's really nice to see her taking off though, because I remember when she had 5,000, 10,000 followers years ago to now she's got 30, 40,000. Is it shit? She's got 197,000 on TikTok now. And she's, getting invited to the movie premieres, and she's just to kind of know like where she came from to where she's able to go now. Like, yeah, there's social issues involved in the entertainment industry and all of that. Definitely still not a lot to critique there, but it's still really fucking cool to be able to see her fucking make it and show others that like nothing has to hold us back. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah. I also just want to check out some articles that were written about her. Figure we could read those for a bit. So, one we have from popsugar.com, and it says Raven Sutton didn't see deaf people on reality TV show before she entered the circle. I'm like reading the wrong line. Whoops. And this is by Chandler Plant, and this is from 2023. Um, and it says, even over a video call, Raven Sutton's energy is infectious, as bold and bright as her cobalt blue hair. The 27-year-old recently made history as the first deaf contestant to ever enter Netflix's playful reality series, The Circle. But in all honesty, she's just here to play the game, and maybe even win. I feel like she should. What? I'm not gonna. I almost said something, but I'm not gonna finish that sentence. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. Sutton was initially introduced to this, but I actually do like that other person too. They're both great. They're both great. They're both great. Okay, but in all honesty, it says she's just here to play the game and maybe even win. Sutton was initially introduced to the show while searching for entertainment at the peak of the pandemic. I would consider myself a super fan. Let's be clear on that. She establishes right away. Her two interpreters bridging the gap between American Sign Language and spoken word. I love the drama on it. I love the connections. I mean everything about it, she tells Pop Sugar. However, she quickly realized that watching The Circle was nothing compared to the excitement of being on the show herself. And then it has an excerpt right here. It says, "You don't see deaf people on reality TV shows." It says, "After starting the show in quarantine, Sutton was hooked. As I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, I could totally see myself playing this game." She remembers. "The only thing stopping her, it's never happened before." She says, "You don't see deaf people on reality TV shows." Truthfully, she can think of a few logistical barriers. If I'm on another show with 15 other people, what would that look like? Me being there with the interpreter, or even on Love is Blind or Too Hot to Handle? I don't know how I'm going to do that, she says. I'm like, do I really want the interpreter there when I'm trying to kick it, trying to lay up on a little daddy number? That's right. But the circle was different, although the daddy numbers did not disappoint. In essence, the name of the game is to win over the other players from behind a screen. Each contestant, housed in their own private apartment, must create a social media profile, either as their true self or as catfish. By building connections, ranking one another, and gradually voting each other off, the most popular profiles make it to the end, where their true identities are finally revealed to one another. The last person standing receives a grand prize of $100,000. The circle was the perfect formula, Sutton says. "We're in an apartment, we're talking to other players, and I can see how I'd make it work." After finding the motivation to submit her application on a whim at 4 a.m. in the morning, the producers quickly fell in love with her and her I can't speak, charismatic interpreter, Paris McTizik. "My advice for those folks would be to just do it," Sutton emphasizes, speaking primarily to the disabled community. "Really, they need you more than you need them. You should be interviewing them." That's the mindset that I went with. In Sutton's experience, making history is all about attitude. "I love the show, but I was what the show was missing. Let's be very clear on that," she says. It's this exact spirit that's carried Sutton through most of her life, including a period where she felt like no one really understood her. After moving from Alabama to Atlanta in the fourth grade, Sutton entered a public school with virtually no resources for her. Instead of interpreters, she was put in special education classes. And upon tiring of teachers who didn't know how to work with her in lessons that weren't academically challenging enough, she started acting out. "I was the class clown. I was just cutting up, talking, making noises, because I was like, I don't even know what's going on," Sutton explains. Coming from a third generation deaf family, Sutton knew there had to be other options. Finally, a summer camp led her to the Alabama School for the Deaf. "I was like, I want to see my cousins. I want to learn more about the language and who I am," she says. After convincing her mom to let her attend in the eighth grade, she practically lived on campus, connecting with family members, learning about her dad, who many of her teachers knew before his passing, and finally receiving their proper accommodations. In the public schools, Sutton was bullied for her deafness. But at the school for the deaf, it was a completely different story. I'm like, at this point, you can't bully me. If we are the same person, we're bullying each other. "What are you saying?" she laughs. She quickly rattles off a few of her accomplishments, which include becoming cheerleading captain, participating in the academic bowl, and becoming the class valedictorian. If it wasn't already clear from her radiant personality, Sutton's history confirms that she's always been a star. Now, she hopes people see her, not as someone entering the circle because they're deaf, but as someone entering the circle who just happens to be deaf. "Yes, I have a disability. I am deaf, but that's it," Sutton says. "I'm still living life every single day, the same as you. I still have to get this money and pay my bills every month, just like you. I'm still going to the club and turning up, just like you. I'm still flirting with this man or woman or whoever y'all interested in," she says. "Life would be boring if we were all cookie cutter, all the same," she adds. "Please, I need to be my own Raven." I love that. So yeah, this is a really good article. Highly recommend if giving that a read for yourself. Link in the description of the video. And then there's another one from E, and it's got a video in here from Raven. Let's see if there's any audio. But yeah, but the headline says the circles Raven Sutton reveals where she stands with Marvin. I don't know how to say this dude's last name. Achi. My bad. Um, but yeah, let's fucking watch this.
Strategy the entire game going in was, yes, I was single because I am single. And I was like, that's a no brainer. Part of my strategy was to indeed be myself, to be authentic. Um, yeah, it didn't change my strategy in the game. I already knew how it was coming in. I was gonna flirt with folks because that's just how my personality is.
Okay, so I think the first
I
time
be myself to be
they were saying everyone is playing single this time around, did you have to shift your strategy at all? That was the first question. Okay. The second question is where do you and Marvin stand now?
I love Marvin. I mean, that's my Nigerian king. He'll always be my Nigerian king. So yeah, we're good. We're still good. I'll leave it at that. No, I was so proud of how I came into the game.
Oh shit, I just realized I was fucking muted. I was reading the damn questions. My bad, y'all. It said, is there anything you would have changed about your game looking back? Is this question. The other question was, where do you and Marvin stand now? And the question before that was, everyone is playing single this time around. Do you have a strategy? Did you change your strategy at all? My bad for those that aren't looking. Okay, let's go back to where we were. Fuck.
I came into the circle with my strategy as myself. I mean, I couldn't have played the game any better, right? I came in authentic to who I am. Not only that, but I represent an entire community, a deaf community. And that has never been seen before in the circle. So for me, I thought it was a historical moment. And I was so happy with how I represented myself and the deaf community. All right.
And then this one says, how's the reaction been since you've announced that you're going on this show? Um, Did she announce that she was going on the show after she was on the show? Or before she went on the show? You're not allowed to say you're going on the show till after, huh? You know, that's a good question. I didn't process that.
Charlotte, everyone is shocked. They're like, Raven's on the show. Yes, we've got a deaf representative, ASL, all like so many people who had no idea even about the show. The Circle is bringing light to this show. And so I'm just so excited. I've been talking to so many people since then, my family, my friends, everybody knows.
What I don't like, though, I don't feel that they should have shown him speaking. I feel they should have kept it on her for the sign language representation so deaf people have access so we can see the full signs. Because just being able to see the captions aren't accurate enough. And if he's the interpreter, like they could have put him in a small picture right here. They could have put him in a small picture. She should have been staying here the whole time. I'm not saying he shouldn't, like he just shouldn't have been like, they shouldn't have been going to him. If they wanted him in there to show him to, they either should have done just his voiceover or had him as a picture in picture right here. They shouldn't have been cutting out the sign language, in my opinion. Like, how the fuck are you gonna be like deaf representation? Just not all of it. Just not for deaf people. Only for hearing people to act like we're being inclusive. Look, we can see her sign. We're just not gonna show all of the signs. The fuck, bitches. What it needs, you know what I mean? So she is doing her part. She's trying to be here for deaf community. I need hearing people to meet us halfway. God damn. The fuck.
I mean, my phone crashed like 3 or 4 times since Friday because all the notifications have been blowing up my phone. It's been crazy.
Lizzo is showing.
And then it's just auto playing to some other shit. All right, not watching that right now. Um, fucking. So then this just kind of wraps up, and about specifics about the show. So I'll let you see that. But I do think it's important for deaf representation. And she even got written up by Southeast Center ADA. American with Disability Act, and it's about information, guidance, and training on the American with Disabilities Act. And there's a post from them on her about how she's breaking barriers for deaf representation being on the show. So like the reason I felt like it was important, like I know, like I'm over here that deaf in music, let's talk about her representation on the circle. I feel this has been part of what is helping, get some of the mainstream awareness for her to. I hope this is part of what has been able to put her name out more so she gets better opportunities. But I don't want to be all like, yeah, because of them, now she's getting X, Y, and Z, because that's all her. You know what I mean? Like, if she got them views, she's giving them deaf representation. It's her labor, not theirs. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there is a way there's a way in which I'm concerned that the hearing people, when they talk about it, like with the E, they're giving too much credit on hearing people over the deaf people than on the deaf representation. But she's doing her part. You know what I'm saying? She's kicking ass. Um, and so yeah, fucking this is a source from the ABC News. It talks about how Raven is the first deaf contestant on the show. Um, she's hoping it can not only empower deaf community but change the perspective of viewers who may not have ever seen a deaf person on TV screens before. And then she says there's a lot of hearing people who have the misperception of us about what the deaf community is or what the disabled community is. Sutton said in an interview with Good Morning America. So they put us in this box, in this isolated view that we can't enjoy life. And that's just simply not true. Um, and so yeah. And then it just goes on to explain what the show is, which we've talked about. And she says, I wanted to use my language for my community. Yes. She said she wanted deaf viewers to feel seen. I love that. Because ASL is what's most comfortable with. She said Paris was there to interpret for you all, for hearing people who don't know sign language. The accommodation is for you. Deaf people want to see someone like themselves use their language on TV. Yeah, we're always used to reading captions on TV and all the shows, but when you have a chance to see someone who looks like yourself who uses the same language as you, and we've got so many people that are excited to see themselves on screen. Exactly. So that's why I'm like, when you cut away from her while she is saying this, why isn't my captioner? Okay, yeah. So when they cut away from her while she is saying this, it's even more fucked up to me because it's like, are you not paying attention, or are you just using her for the exploiting her existence for clout without paying attention to what she's trying to educate on? You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, fucking that's why she is matters. That's why she's so important and why what she's doing is so instrumental for helping other deaf people get representation, get seen, and get access. Um, and then she says, this is why I say you've got to normalize deaf people on TV. You've got to, and it cannot be related to their deafness, Sutton said. It's not about me as a deaf person. I'm just playing the game, and I just happen to be deaf. Right, because she's like, I'm not your fucking token. So get that straight. I love that. That's what she's basically saying, in my opinion. Not to put words in her mouth, but that's just like what I would be saying if I was feeling that way. That's just me self-projecting. You know what I mean? Um, and she says, I'm living my life. That's the important for me to show, like, wow, oh, she's deaf. Yes, she has a disability, but so what? Um, and then she's received a lot of questions about why she didn't use a keyboard or why she didn't speak aloud herself. And she says, y'all do know that since I'm the first deaf contestant on the Circle Netflix, that there's going to be a huge number of deaf people watching, right? Why would I play the game with just a keyboard? She wrote, I'm using ASL for my community, and Paris is helping you understand. Simple. I love it. And she was just like, those types of inquiries are nothing new for Sutton. Throughout her life, she said she's battled questions about being a dancer as well as whether she was lying about deaf, among other things. Same. Me too. Um, and then it says, because of things that I can do, they said, well, deaf people can't dance, they can't speak. It's impossible for them to listen to music, and they denied me of my identity. But obviously, I'm in the deaf community, and I see not only myself, but other deaf people doing the same things I'm doing, if not more. Right. And that's why showing deaf representation and allowing us to speak for ourselves and stop letting hearing people try to tell us what we can or can't do or be or are is what is so important. Um, So yeah, she says now her role on the show appears to have sparked conversation about deafness. Sutton said the feedback demonstrates the importance of media representation, so people without disabilities can learn about and fight the stigma against deaf and disabled people. As Sutton awaits the reaction from viewers as the season finale nears, she hopes fans take away that just because I'm deaf doesn't mean I don't have a lot of similarities with everyone else. Doesn't mean that I don't flirt, that I can't be thirsty over a guy, she said, laughing. It doesn't mean that I don't dance, that I don't twerk or shake my ass. It doesn't mean that I can't be strategic, that I can't play a game for money. It doesn't mean that I can't be authentically myself. I love it. Yes. So, these articles, of course, oops, I accidentally scrolled up on my captioner. These articles, of course, are linked in the description of this video. So I hope you go check out all of the sources and everything, go read about her, go follow her, because what she's doing for deaf representation really means a lot to me. It really means a lot to all deaf community, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, and I just wanted to kind of just recap, wind it back. So what we did today was go over Rayton's, I can't speak, Raven Sutton's Instagram, her YouTube, we checked out her TikTok. We talked about her being on The Circle a good bit, particularly in relation to the conversation that's come about because of it, because of her representation in the media, and giving deaf identity visual representation with personality in mainstream, um, that's rarely been seen before. That's been very important. And so we've talked about that and how it connects to her music journey through correcting misconceptions of deafness. And we've also talked about her role in music community for deaf people as she gives us a visual arrangement of the space and time of sound through sign language, which is her communicating in music. You know what I'm saying? So, we've been discussing all of this. So, everything we chatted about is linked in the description of this video. I hope you go please give her a follow. Please support her. And hire her for your shit, damn it. So yeah, fucking thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And I hope you have a great fucking day. Bye. Thanks for watching. Join the loyalty program at noladeafchild.com/loyalty and check in during live streams to get points for rewards.